If you are enjoying the Pivot Project podcast, please subscribe. Please keep up to date with what we're doing. I really, really will appreciate it, and Kay will even appreciate it even more.
Hello and welcome to the Pivot Project, the podcast exploring life and career transitions. My name's Devika Kapoor. I'm a life design coach and I'm your host for today. I'm here with Ben Duffy, owner of Duffy's Barbers in Ancoats. Ben started his barbering journey at the age of 15 and after working in multiple shops decided to build his own business. But he didn't want it to be a typical barber shop. He wanted to create something that emulated his values. He wanted to leave a legacy. So let's get into the episode. Amazing. So I can't believe that today we're not in the studio. We're somewhere completely different. Where are we, Ben?
Special place.
Special place. Tell the people where we're at.
So we're in Ancoats.
Ancoats.
We're in the headquarters.
Oh, the headquarters.
This is where it all happens.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. To be fair,
I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah.
It's nice, actually. I really like the space. It's really, aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's going to be an aesthetic conversation as well.
Maybe.
But Ben, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me where it all started. Let's go back to little Ben to Ben today.
So probably still little Ben today.
Little Ben today. I mean, you are quite young as well still.
So yeah, in terms of my career started cutting hair when I was 15. And then back home in Accrington where I'm from. And then we ended up in Manchester basically, just outgrew the place where I was. Started to think, what's out there, what's more. Then when I was 19, got a job in the city.
Yeah.
Which is quite a big move because we're about 45-50 minutes away from here.
Yeah.
But obviously going from working in a small town into a city, it's quite a big jump.
Yeah.
And then just ended up here, loved it, seen a completely new way of life, if you will, in terms of how different the city is and that kind of stuff, and just went with it really, and then just grown and progressed, and here we are now. So were you barbering in other kind of shops for a couple of years before you decided to transition and build your own business? Yeah, so I ended up working in a shop in Manchester, a very successful one.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of the industry to the highest level. Then ended up managing the shop when I was, I think, 21.
Wow.
So, because the guy who I was working for, he opened up a second business. So then I basically managed and ran that one, and then got to the point where I thought, well, I'm doing this for someone else. Let's go for it on my own, basically. So, that's kind of how it ended up happening. So I've been on my own for 6 years. This is my third shop. Probably won't be the last one.
Okay.
That's where we're at, basically.
And your first Barbers was called Vision Barbers, right?
Yeah. So when I opened this, I wanted to kind of, all the lessons that I've learned in obviously being in business on my own, I wanted to kind of put together what my own personal, because Vision Barbers basically come about from, I do believe that I can vision things, and a thought on something, I can manifest it and make it into reality, which is something that I've done all my career.
Yeah.
And in personal life as well. So then we'd obviously been at Vision for 2 or 3 years, we've outgrown that space. And then I wanted to, step it up and get a bigger place and get a bigger, empire building.
Yeah.
Then I thought, right, I'm going to obviously put my own, everything about Duffy's obviously is my last name, but this is me and what, I believe that how the shop should run, how the shop feels, the vibe, the professionalism. So just put everything into this, and this is obviously what I think it should be, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
If that makes sense. So a very personal brand.
Yeah.
And keeping it real and true to what I believe and stand for, basically.
I think that's good as well, because then you're the spearhead of everything, right? Everything goes through you. Obviously, you've got barbers that come here, they work here as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're the one setting the values, I guess.
Yeah. And I think especially having a brand as well, I think that's the most important thing, because you know, there's so many competitors and other people that you look up to in the industries and that kind of stuff, and then you start picking ideas from them, and then before you know it, you've kind of lost what you truly believe in and you want, and obviously you're looking at other people's stuff. So I kind of stripped all that back and thought, right, you know, it's easy to go on Instagram and social media and look at how everybody else is doing stuff, and of course you take good ideas, what you see and what you like, so then yeah, that's kind of what I've done, stripped it back and then just created this. And it's going like really well, thankfully, and it's obviously working, so I've done something right.
You've done something right. Well, to have a shop in Ancoats as well, right, obviously, and like I've mentioned to you, like I've been to Accrington, and no disrespect to Accrington, but from Accrington to Ancoats, like it is a huge...
Yeah. It's a proper place. I'll never forget your roots.
No, 100%. I mean, I used to live in like Chadderton, Oldham, do you know what I mean? So I understand. I used to even live in Bradford, to be fair. So big ups Bradford, you know, the curry there is great. And in Accrington as well, it's pretty good. But you mentioned about like vision, and like earlier you were talking a little bit about like manifestation. When did that like, because that's quite popular right now, right? Loads of people talk about like manifestation, but when did it kind of click for you that, you know, what you kind of speak out or what you want to achieve, you can achieve? When did it kind of click?
I'd say it probably clicked from going through different times in my life where then I've reflected, and then obviously to the stage that you've then got to, and then when you reflect back, all these thoughts that I've had, I've actually made, and dreams, I've actually achieved them and made them happen. So then for me it's like, you know, what else is possible? And I think it's just, my mind's maybe a little bit different to how most people think, but when I'm going anywhere or looking at stuff, I'm always looking at, you know, businesses and buildings and thinking like, I think that's what the city did for me. I'm looking at buildings and thinking, you know, someone's actually thought of this, and then they've built this huge building and these 200 apartment complexes, and you know, for me, that just shows that you can achieve anything, basically. It don't just come to you. This is I think, you know, manifesting gets thrown around and that kind of stuff. You've obviously got to put the work in, and, you know, you're knocking doors down, and then before you know it, opportunities then and these thoughts, they do start to come together, and, you know, it can take 2 or 3 years for something to happen, but I think if you keep pushing for that, and that's your, you know, what you believe and what you think can happen, and you stay persistent with it and you work hard towards it, then, you know, you can achieve it, basically.
Yeah. And was this always the case, like from the age of sort of, like you said, you started at 15, was it like your first kind of job, and then...
Yeah, and then it worked, so I've only ever done barbering and working with hair, but I've always said from a very, very young... I've always, like, believed in myself. I think that's what the main thing is. I've always kind of known that I will be successful, you know, depending, it's relative in it what you want to class as successful, but I've always known that I'm very driven, and if I want something, I'll get it. You know, by not whatever means, but, you know, you find your way through to get something that you want. And believe in yourself. I think that's the main thing that I've always had. And again, the Pivot podcast, which we're on, you know, you do have to pivot in life and in business, but if you're very clear on what you want, you will get it. There's no other way you can't, because for my personal experience anyway, that's what's happened. And don't think for 1 second that it's been easy, because it's not. You've got to take the stress and the rough times and the, you know, the bad times with a smooth, but if you stay focused and stay on what it is that you're trying to get and achieve, you will achieve it. You've just got to believe in yourself, and that's it really, So it's quite a...
And that kind of mentality as well. So some people, you know, they talk about the fact that like they've got people in their family, for example, that are like entrepreneurs or business minded. I know you mentioned that going from like, I was going to say the country, it's not really the country, but a small town like Accrington to like the city, Manchester, like obviously it's thriving as well. Do you feel like, where did you kind of pick up that mentality, or do you feel like it was always there, like in school where you're like, I'm gonna be successful, y'all?
Nah, I don't really know. I think it's just like you've either got it not that everybody's got talents and everyone's got certain things that they're better than others at, or, you know, that's obviously what determines different people, but I think there's a lot of like stigma and stuff about people that have their own business and, you know, people that work for people. You know, everyone's like, oh, I'd love to have my own business, but, you know, there is people that work for people that are very happy with that, they're very good at the jobs. And obviously then you can turn off when you're not in work. You know, for me, I'd say anyone that speaks to me about wanting to set their own business up, I just think, fuck that. You know, you need to make sure you want that, because it's, you know, you've got so many different roles as being a business owner. It's not a case of just, set up my own shop or set up my own online business in whatever it is you're passionate about. There's, you know, lots of other things that you need to learn, and it's, I think everybody's got their own things that they're good at, and I don't think everybody is capable of having their own business in a positive way. Just like would struggle to work for someone because I'm so used to, you know, creating my own legacy and my own kind of thing. I think, you know, it's relative for the individual, basically. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Well, I think even having like your name as part of your shop, your brand, that does kind of speak like into like the idea of legacy and leaving something behind as well. And you mentioned like this won't be like your last shop as well. So you're already kind of like thinking like the future as well, and you're thinking about like what you want to not just leave behind, but
it's just create. I think that's obviously what I do is a creative job. I want to create a space for people to work here and do well. That's a big driver for me. Like the lads that are in here, you know, they're doing really well, and that's rewarding for me in many different ways, because it's like, again, it shows me now it's not just I can create something. Like when you're self-employed and you work for someone in a barbershop, you know, you're creating something for yourself then. And then now it's, you know, I've took it to the next step, and it's like, right, you're actually creating good opportunities and good things for people that work with you. And that's, you know, rewarding in itself. And then now it's like, right, you know, I've got a very, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think having ADHD and stuff, my brain's always, you know, going and what's the next thing. And I've had to learn to control that, because then before you know it, you sat, you know, till daft o'clock at night thinking of things, and you're trying to put pen to paper, and then the next day you wake up and you think, what the fuck was that, what I was thinking, and writing down. So you've got to, but with this I've kind of found, you know, our core values and what I stand for and who I am. And I think that there's a lot of room for expansion in different things and not just hair. So
So are you gonna reveal what those are, or are you gonna keep us on our toes?
Create something,
But I think
keep a bit of hype around it, but
well, there you go. And I think how the world's going, right? And like you were talking about having a brand and like all these kind of like partnerships and collaborations that can come from it. Like there's a lot of opportunity, but you do have to think differently. And we were just speaking about this, weren't we? Like some of the strengths that come with having ADHD. A lot of people with ADHD do end up going into business or entrepreneurship and
or prison.
You know, you got to pick your fighter. Do you know what I mean? And question for you: how do you kind of make sure that again you're not kind of like way out, and that you kind of keep it still very much related to what you do?
I think just from my experience from being in the industry so long, and then obviously having my own business and working for myself for quite a while now. You kind of, at the beginning, it's like, oh, we could try that, you know, it's like hair products, let's go into this, but I've had to strip all that back and be like, right, you know, kind of, my time's precious, so if I'm putting my time into something, I'm now very disciplined in what positions I put myself in. And I'm very precious with my time, and I won't, if I don't think something's possible or a certain situation that doesn't align with me, I won't involve myself in that unless it's kind of something that I can obviously see an opportunity from. So I think experience really, whereas at the beginning, you know, you're like looking at all these different people and, you know, should I set up a clothing brand, should I get an energy drink, should I get a coffee brand, should I get a coffee shop? I think you just got to kind of stick to your roots, and then as you expand, that's when other doors start to open and other, you know, I've had some opportunities come up that I've turned down that I could have, you know, they could have been good for me, but at the time I felt, well, it don't really align. I've had brands wanting to do collaborations that don't really align with me and, you know, what I stand for. So I think I'm very disciplined in that.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, you know, it's noise and it's exciting. Oh, these what I work with, these what I do this, they want you to go on this, and so I'm like, no, you know what, that actually don't really work for me. I'm not interested in, you know, the short-term gain from it. It's about staying true to what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's working for now. So
that's good. That's
yeah,
positive.
yeah.
You seem very like assured in like your values.
Yeah.
But what would you say, like, and I can only imagine that your values are very reflective of like Duffy's as well, because it's your brand, it's your baby. What would you say those values are? Like, what do you want people to associate with, yes, you, but also your brand?
I think the main thing for me is everybody's welcome, because I think, especially in, again, I can only relate back to our industry, I think with social media in terms of like barbering and barbershop, it's lost that real touch, and it's lost that personal service touch. You know, this is a job where it doesn't matter who you are, what industry you work in, how you dress.
Yeah.
You know, this is a place where anybody can come through the door and feel safe, you know, happy, positive, good vibe, feel good about yourself. Whereas I think, you know, and get a good service as well, which is really important. I think now the industry, it's gone, there's a lot of ego involved, and a lot of these barbers now, especially the younger ones that have only been cutting hair for 4, 5, 6 years, they're kind of seeing it as like it's about them. And it's like, you know, yeah, I cut your hair, whereas our approach and everybody that works here's approach, and if you don't have this approach, you won't, you know, you're not for us as a brand. It is about making that person in your chair, it's about them, because they're essentially, I see it as, you know, they're coming in here, they're paying our wages. You know, I work for you.
Yeah.
For that 40 minutes while you're in my chair, so I'm going to try and give you the best service, the best, you know, haircut, the best ear to listen, and just make that person feel, you know, better about themselves, because that's what I'm trying to do in my own life by doing, you know, everything that I'm doing. And I want to pass that on.
Yeah.
And I think whereas a lot of other brands, and not even just in the hair space, I think it's more about them as a brand than your customer or your consumer. So that's something that I'm really big on. Like, I've had lads that come in on trials and stuff for jobs, and they're so talented at cutting hair.
Yeah.
And they've just not got that, you know, I feel like they're carrying that ego where it's about them. Whereas you're in the wrong job if that's what you're doing, because it's about your customer sense, so you're giving a service.
Yeah. You mentioned that like lending like an ear to people.
Yeah.
And, you know, not to get like super deep, but I'm sure like for men, right, like already men struggle to potentially talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
Whereas women will be telling everyone and anyone about our feelings.
Yeah.
Like we're like, listen, can someone listen? I just want to tell you how I feel.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not a man, but from my understanding, it can be quite a therapeutic experience being able to go to your barbers and those 40 minutes, get a fresh trim, but also just kind of catch up on life kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think with the job as well, it's kind of like, especially for how we operate, like we're on bookings, you know, you genuinely kind of, if you cut, I mean, it's not, you know, 100% always like this, but someone kind of tends to return back to you then as a customer. And I think because you're not seeing them every single day or talking to them every single day, but the job and the service is very personal. Yeah. People feel like that they can open up to you and maybe tell you stuff that's going on in their lives that they wouldn't tell their friends, you know, because they might not want them to know. Or, so yeah, I guess it is that kind of, and in a positive way, it's not always negative stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like
where men need
celebrating.
to speak. Yeah, because I think thankfully now people, you know, if you do have any kind of problems or stress going on, as everybody does, it's definitely getting more better for people to talk about. And even in the positive side of stuff, you know, you can have a good laugh.
Yeah.
You know, you've only got 40 minutes, so a lot of people want to try and cram a lot of stuff in, you know, in what's been going on in their lives, and yeah, so it's nice, and I think, yeah, it suits me as an individual doing the job that I do, because I like meeting new people and, you know, talking and networking and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's...
Especially somewhere in Ancoats, right? So Ancoats is obviously quite an affluent area as well, and I'm sure, like you said, different people are welcome anyway. It doesn't matter who you are, but like the types of people that probably do come in here as well, you know, maybe they're in business or maybe they're, I don't know, creatives as well, and like, do you feel like, it's a good like way to meet people in regards to kind of finding out what they do? Have you ever kind of like worked with anyone that, you know,
definitely,
whose hair you've been cutting, like?
Because obviously you're meeting every different person that works in every different industry. And for me, I think what I've been good at is seeing that as like a networking thing. So like every day I come to work, you know, I might have a lawyer in, a dentist, someone that owns, you know, hedge fund company. I might have someone that has a recruitment business or works in recruitment. So all them different things, I see it as such a good opportunity, and I'm glad that I do have the mindset where I think like that, because you can then start to break down doors in every single avenue. You meet in that person, and I don't think there's any other job, you know, in kind of the hair and beauty industry that you're going to get that. So I think that's quite a good, you can use that to your advantage if that's how your mindset's kind of working and how you're thinking. Really, like if I need a new dentist or something, I know that I can just go on my phone and, you know, someone whose hair I've cut, you know, they're going to sort my teeth out, or you know, that kind of thing. So it is a good job to do, because you're meeting so many different people. And I think then the opportunities that you can get from that, you know, you know, world your oyster in it kind of thing with it.
When you know, you mentioned the fact that you've like pivoted quite a lot, right? Even though it's been kind of the same industry, but you've still had to kind of like evolve and adapt and change. And I can only imagine like with COVID as well, like that would have been something to consider as well. But like, what would you say like the main pivots have been? Like, where have you really had to kind of go back to the drawing board and be like, right, we need to do things completely different now?
I'd say the biggest one up to date is obviously opening Duffy's, in terms of like realising what I actually want out of being in business and what I'm trying to achieve from it. And like stripping everything back that I've kind of done and seen, and then being like, right, I liked this from this experience, I liked how they did that, I like that brand. You know, and it's not necessarily all hair related or barbershop related, it's more, you know, I might see like, you know, some tiles in a toilet in a coffee shop that I like, so I'm like, right, I'm going to put that feel into the toilet. I like this kind of, you know, image, how that looks in the bathroom, or you know, the glasses that we have in the shop for the coffee. Or I'm always kind of
like taking inspiration from other things.
Yeah, which again you're pivoting, aren't you? Because you know, you're looking at different things, how different brands are working, and then I've kind of like stripped everything back, put everything together that I like, and then created this, because this is essentially me.
Yeah, like an amalgamation.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you got Biggie on the wall.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love music, to be fair, as well.
Yeah.
And I find that inspiring and that kind of stuff.
I think it's cool what you've said though, because I think sometimes, like in Manchester, right, I don't even want to know how many barbershops there are. I feel like everywhere you go, there's a barbershop, and a lot of them like do look the same.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that idea of kind of like copy and paste.
Yeah.
Whereas it sounds like with what you're saying, you're trying to do something that is unique, and like even the graffiti on the wall, like you don't really see.
Yeah. I think like, again, keeping it personal, whereas I think a lot of brands are kind of, you know, this isn't anyone in particular, or I think everybody's kind of following the same trend, but I think as a business and a brand, you know, whoever's behind it, I think, listen, there's people that, you know, have no interest in coffee, who might not drink coffee, but they've got a, you know, multi-million pound coffee brand, but somewhere in that successful business, they've put their own personal touch on it, and in terms of how they want the business running, or how they want the website run, or the socials, or you know, the infrastructure for the staff.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to put your own thing on it, and that's just kind of what I think makes a brand work and be successful. And yeah, thankfully we're growing, and it's good.
Bloody hell, we're going to outgrow this space soon then.
No.
Not this one?
No, we'll keep this one.
Keep this one?
Keep this one going, yeah.
Well, get another one.
Maybe, we'll see.
Duffy Barbers too.
Yeah.
I love that. And you mentioned obviously when you moved to Manchester and you ended up like managing somebody's kind of barber shop at the time.
Yeah.
You were quite young, right, when you had that sort of management experience, and not that you're old now, but you've matured. What are some of kind of the lessons that you've learned along the way? And, you know, some of the things where you were like, damn, like I need to make like a potential personal change in myself to make sure that I am the person that I need to be.
Yeah, I think just kind of like growing personally in your personal life, that obviously reflects how you make decisions and that kind of stuff. Like when I was managing, you know, there'll have been times where if I look back now, I'm thinking like, what on earth were you doing? And because I was young, I was managing people that, you know, might have been 10 years older than me and that kind of stuff. Just learning and growing as you go, and reflecting's a big one for me. Like I might make a decision and then look back and think, you know what, hold my hands up, that was a wrong decision, handled that completely wrong. But one thing I will always do is take a lesson from it and be like, right, did that, didn't work, you know, what can I try next time? So I guess you're changing and evolving all the time, but I think reflecting for me is the biggest one. In personal and in business. It's like, right, done that didn't work, fuck that up, you know, whatever else, right, make sure that we don't do that again. Or on the opposite side to that, you know, yes, that did work, can I do that a bit better? You know, could I have slowed down and had a think about that decision a bit more? Was it a bit impulsive? You know, so that's, you're always changing and learning. In life anyway, not just in business. Everybody is, if you know, even if you, like I say, you don't have your own business, you're always, you know, self-working and but I think people should never look at any mistake as a mistake. Because when I look back at myself and some of the very bad decisions I have made, I've not got any regrets, because I've got to learn from that and I've got to be better.
I get what you're saying.
Some people might listen to this and think like, well, you don't regret that, but I don't think I do, no. And I'll stand on that. And make sure I'll learn and be better.
I know, I appreciate that, and I think that's a nice place to be in anyway, where you're not looking back at regret, like, because it's made you who you are.
Well, it eats you, done it, and it consumes you. And and listen, I'm not saying I'm some like not a human, because everybody, you know, you do have emotion and you do think like, oh shit, this ain't good, I've fucked this up. But you know, then I'm straight away, I'm like, right, well, I can't be in this mindset of like doom and gloom. What have I done? It's like, right, bang, don't do that again. Make sure you try this. That works. That didn't work. And then just deal with it. I think thankfully I've got a mindset where, you know, something can happen. Right, sweet, this ain't good. Let's deal with it. Let's move forward. You know, you don't know what tomorrow holds. Just be yourself and just, you know, keep pushing forward and learn from your lessons.
What do you think some of like the biggest lessons have been for you?
In the past couple of years is to stay true to what I believe in and what I stand for. That's the biggest one. And not look at the noise, look at everybody else, listen to you know, I'll always ask people for advice. You know, which I have done in personal situations and business situations. But for me, asking, you know, someone for advice isn't, you know, some people ask me for advice and I'll give it them, and then I'll always say, but you don't, you know, you make your own decision on that. You know, there's nothing personal going to be taken if you then decide to
do the opposite.
Because you've got to go on your own thing, and you've got to again stand true to what you believe in, whether it works or whether it doesn't work. You're either going to get something success from it, or you're going to get even more success. You're going to get a good lesson from it, which then you won't fall back and make that mistake again. So I think that's the biggest lesson, is kind of stay true to what you believe. And, you know, never never come off that. If you believe it, give it everything. If it doesn't work, you know, you change, something else will always come right for you when it's meant to be. And I think that's really important for people in the personal lives as well.
You know what, like a lot of the things that you're saying, like I feel, and I don't know, I might be wrong, it sounds like you do a lot of potential like personal development. Would you say that you like read books or watch podcasts? Like, are you very big into that? Or like even like other business owners, are you kind of very big into kind of learning,
just
getting
people
better?
And watching people. I'm always, you know, again, doing the job that I do, there's, you know, however many people a day coming through here. So I'm listening all the time, and then, you know, I have gone through a stage where I've read all the, you know, self-help development books, that kind of stuff. And then podcasts, I love watching podcasts all the time. Not even necessarily about business. I love watching podcasts and, you know, about some random things. But then in that conversation, I'm looking at someone on how they'd deal with that situation, and then I'm taking note of that, and then so always learning and listening and taking note, and you know, and even on the other side, taking note and watching people on some of the decisions they're making and thinking like, I ain't doing that. And I think
sometimes that's the best, isn't it? Like learn from other people's mistakes.
And I think that's what this job has taught me, and you know, I've gained a lot from that mindset of that, because then I'd look at certain individuals, no one in particular, and be like, you know what, I don't want to be in that position, or I don't really see that for myself, and you know, so I won't make that decision and that choice. And it's just kind of pivoting.
So Ben, you mentioned that you know during that time when you came to Manchester and you were managing the Barbers, you learned a lot. Like, do you still have like mentors within sort of the barber space, or is it more ones that you've created?
Yeah, in terms of like mentors, it's more people in all different spaces and fields to grow basically, and not just hair related, because now I need to start thinking outside the box in what I want from this, and you know, how I'm going to get there. I think the people that it's quite
And people come to, like you said, like people come to you for advice, and I know we were talking about how you've helped people set up their own barber kind of studio or space essentially. And like, not, even though they're technically your competitors, but not really kind of seeing it like that. Which is crazy, right? Because most people do, they see it as like, I'm not going to help them, or I'm not going to, like, where do you think, like for you, why do you think you're so open to helping up and coming barbers or people who are building something as well?
I think because obviously I'm doing it myself.
I
think the more that I give out, the more that hopefully, you know, comes back to me. And again, I don't want to, going back to, you know, what we stand for as a brand, I want to see people do well and grow and be better in whatever aspects of their life, and any experience and advice I can give them. I'll always try and help someone, because I don't want to see anybody else, you know, not necessarily struggle, but I want to see other people grow as well, because what good is it you just doing it on your own? And then and that's not necessarily just in business either, it's more in life, or I just want to help as many people as I can. I think that also gives me good validation, and that you know, that makes me get out of bed in the morning if I can help someone, if I can make someone's day better, if I can make them feel better with an haircut or, you know, a conversation. It's that ticks me, that keeps me going, and I'm genuine with it as well. I'm not doing it either to receive something back. I'm doing it because it makes me feel better. So I think that's where I've kind of got it from. Again, maybe helping someone in the same city set up a barber shop might not have been the, you know, business wise, but you know, it's nice to see them grow now and doing well, and look at it and be like, you know what, I have been a little part of that, and helped them along the way, and made some good friends and some good contacts from it. And so I think that's,
and it comes back full circle as well, right? Like, I'm sure in a way it's like, I scratch your back, you scratch my back as well. But in terms of like legacy, right, you have a daughter. How's that played a big part in what you're doing, what you're achieving? Because it's like, it's not just you anymore, right? It's You've got a young daughter.
Yeah. I think she's like, I think because of the position that I'm in now, and those closest to me know that it's been very difficult to get to where I am now. I don't want her to go through that, so if I can help her in any way, whether it be financially or, you know, all the lessons that I've learned, the advice that I can give her and shape her into the person that, you know, she wants to be, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, I'm doing it for myself as well, which is something that I've had to learn, because again, having the mentality of wanting to help everyone.
Yeah.
I want her to look at me and be like, you know what, I'm proud of my dad, and yeah, she's my biggest inspiration, and yeah, she's my full world basically. So I want to be able to, you know, see her right and see her nice, and if I can do things that aren't going to have her go through the stress and struggle that I've had to go through to get to where we are now, then that's what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
And yeah, learning the lessons that hopefully she doesn't have to learn in the ways that I've done.
Yeah.
But she needs to stand on her own 2 feet as well and figure it out. But you know, I'll be there to guide her and give her some of my experiences and you know, help her in. I won't just be one of them parents that it's like, you know, there you go, that's for you.
No.
It's like, right, listen, if this is what you want to do, you need to prepare for this, this and this. I might be able to help you with this and this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my life really, and that's what I want to do for her, but not just have it handed to you. That's not how it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, if she's fortunate to get help in certain things, then great. That I couldn't get the help and support in.
Yeah.
Well, then that's good. But then you can't grow and learn from something that you've not had to go through.
Yeah.
So that's also important, and yeah, I think that's...
I appreciate it. That's really nice. That's really sweet. And then finally, Ben, I was going to ask you, so there's a lot of people who, you know, maybe they're watching this podcast, maybe they're, you know, barbering themselves, or they're self-employed, and they're kind of teetering with the idea of starting something for themselves and building a business. What actual, like, real advice, like solid advice with everything that you've learned could you give to them?
Believe in yourself. That's that's my biggest one. I think, you know, in terms of like qualifications, like I didn't pass any exams, but I've always believed in, you know, myself. I've had advice from, you know, close family members, you know, saying, yeah, don't do that, that's a bad idea. But I've been that headstrong on it. I've done it. I might have fucked it up, you know, learned some tough lessons, but then in the long run, I've made it work. So just believe in yourself, and if that's something that, you know, you want to achieve, whether it be set up your own business or, you know, change your body, fitness, whatever aspect it is, just believe in yourself and just tunnel vision it through, and just you'll achieve it. And it won't be easy.
Yeah.
You know, like anything in life, if something's going to better you, any bad situation that you're going through mentally or relationships or anything like that, you know, believe that you will be all right at the end of it, and just power through the bad days, take the good times, and, you know, rough with the smooth and all that, and that's it basically. Yeah, just believe in yourself, and I think that you can create whatever dreams and opportunities for yourself that, you know, you want. You've got to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then, you know, you've no hope, have you? That's the first step, I think.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. There
Amazing.
You go.
Well, thank you so much, Ben.
Yeah, no, thank you.
A lot of wisdom. I knew it. I feel like you're quite a philosophical. Yeah, wise guy.
Could be. I don't know about that, but yeah, I'll take that. If
I feel like, and again, like, it just shows, like, regardless of, like you said, it's taken a bit of time to get to where you want to be. There's a lot of wisdom that's come from it, and the fact that you're so open to kind of help, you know, up and coming barbers or people, you know, even the people that you're working with, is that's maturity at the end of the day, isn't it? It's not just like, oh, it's just about me. Yes, it's your brand, it's your legacy, but at the same time, you're bringing people up with you.
No, you don't have, for me, it's, you know, it's a team. Without the team, there's There's nothing, is there?
No, literally.
So
No one's getting their hair cut.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I never say like, you work for me. We work. You work with me.
Yeah.
We work together.
That's a really, and I was just going to say,
I'm massive on that, me. I don't even like the lads where if they say like, oh yeah, my boss or or anything in that context. It's like, no, it's not. You all of us contribute.
Yeah.
To this being what it is, and that's in anything, family, business, everybody come together. We all go through whatever's going on or grow whatever you grow in.
Yeah. I think that's a really good management style as well, because a lot of the kind of the traditional
someone
my boss,
at the top,
my manager, that, the other. But if you're kind of saying we work together rather than you work for me,
every part and component and role or whatever you want to call it is crucial to make things turn in it. It's not just
absolutely leave your ego at the door. You're not getting a job here.
Come in here with that.
Love it. I love that. I love it. Thank you so much. But we also do this thing, right? I don't know if you but we hold hands at the end of the podcast.
Right.
And we say at the same time,
yeah.
Here's to pivoting more in 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do this, because obviously maybe we'll put the...
what we're saying, how to pivot more in 2025.
Here's to pivoting more in 2025. 2, 1. Here's to pivoting more in 2025.
There we go.
Yay! Nice one, thank you.
No, thank you.
That was sick!
Into freelance life or pursue creative endeavors, then do not hesitate. Go on my website www.dkcoaching.co.uk and book in a free discovery call where I can sit down with you and figure out your next steps.